Hello, purpose-driven entrepreneurs. Welcome back to another event here at the Life School. I am your host, Elona Lopari, helping companies scale their purpose and profits so they can do more good in the world. Today, I have an amazing roundtable lineup today. I love creating safe spaces just like this when people can come together, learn, grow, contribute, and also add more value to our listeners. So today, I have the amazing honor to have amazing connections that are new to my world, but also connections that I have nurtured relationships with because I really value relationships at the end of the day. My mission is to humanize business, and the more we can genuinely nurture these relationships, the more we can collaborate, the more we can collide our gifts together, the more we can create impact in the world. So this event, again, was brought to you by the Life School, where the Life School helps purpose-driven leaders to build a legacy company that does good in the world through the operations of branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team. Our vision is to empower purpose-driven leaders and entrepreneurs to use their life's purpose through legacy entrepreneurship. Our mission is to become the most impactful global community in purposeful entrepreneurship. And then lastly, our mission and values are to community contribution, service, and impact. So without further ado, I would love to say hi to my first speaker here today. We have virtually connected for sure, but we haven't gotten a chance to connect. And I know she does amazing work out there in the world. So Jenny Garufi is here with us today. Jenny, thank you so much for being here. Can you maybe start with where is it that you are based? And just a small introduction as to who you help and how do you help other people and how do you serve?
Sure. Thanks for having me. I am in upstate New York right now, hoping to relocate to Virginia shortly. And for the last 18 years, I've been helping people. I kind of woke up to my passion. I had majored in psychology, knew I always wanted to help people, but I was sick for 7 years and healing myself in a short period of time, 3 weeks. I woke to consciousness and the mind-body connection, and I've spent 18 years just really learning more and more, gaining more tools. I'm an author, speaker, and love helping people just tap into really easy tools to really gain their own inner power so they can create the life that they want.
Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit around the most impactful moments that let you hear. And I realized that between pain and pleasure, most of our purposes stems out of pain, which obviously, who would like to go through that in our personal and professional lives, but look at the way that it serves other people, because most of us don't want to see other people struggle, right? If we went through something, we don't want anyone else to go through it. So I love that you also shared that in your journey as well. I love that you said practical tools, because my mission, especially as I've gone through a spiritual awakening experience myself, is to humanize a lot of these concepts, spirituality, and also kind of the material world that we all live in. We still have to grow businesses that make money and profit, and we still got to use the channel entrepreneurship. Well, I have to remove the word gotta. There's a lot of words that don't resonate with me anymore because of our programming, right? Should have, could have, we should do this, or we could do that. So having said that, I love to bridge the gap between, there's more out there in the world and also the material world that we live in. So what are some practical tools that maybe you could share with us for our audience of seasoned entrepreneurs and CEOs, which are always interested in their inner work, because they know that's really the direct mirror and correlation to the way that their companies grow holistically. So what are some tools that maybe you could share with us, or maybe one or two of the most impactful tools that you've seen with your clients so that it drives transformations for them? And of course, our audience would appreciate the insight so they maybe can connect the next dot just by listening to this event today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a recovering perfectionist and people pleaser, so those coulds and shoulds and all those all those resonate very deeply. And along those lines, like really switching the mind to, if there were two tools I could choose, it would be gratitude as well as joy. Honestly, we so many times we're like, oh, well, life will get better when, I have this much money or I do this. But really being grateful and present helps a lot. Grateful for the journey that you've been on. Obviously, we've all been through it. If you're still standing now, you've been through it. So really connecting with all you've been through, all that you are, your kindness, your awareness, your want to help other people. All those are beautiful aspects. usually we don't focus on those. We focus on what we don't have yet or what we're still working on. So gratitude's really important, and joy, living. That is how we show the universe we are happy and ready for more, is what lights you up, what excites you. Go and do that. Give yourself permission to do it now. We don't know what tomorrow brings, if it's getting out for a walk for 5 minutes, if it's, dancing around your living room, in the kitchen, cooking, blasting music, whatever it is that lights you up, just really giving yourself that permission to do it now, because that's where inspiration is born, from those moments.
Absolutely. Both very important, and they don't come without practice for sure, right? Because I fell in the trap of, especially early on in my personal development growth journey, where, I always thought that there was this magic pill or something that I could just learn. I already learned it, right? I know that gratitude is important, but making this a practice and something that we do consciously every day, that's where the work is. What are some of the things that get into people's way that stops them from being mindful and kind of living with gratitude or living with joy every day? What have you seen, Jenny, that's more your authentic experience and journey?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. There's limiting thoughts. We use the past. Well, that never worked for me before, so why would it work for me now? We use the past as almost evidence of our future, but we can change at any moment. And when we do get present as often as possible and really focus on that now, and the people pleaser, I threw that out there, like not really caring how other people receive us, but if we're happy with what we're presenting, that's really all that matters, because we're going to find the people that resonate with us. Not really caring that your hair is not perfect, or that you stutter over a couple words or whatever. Just giving yourself that permission to put yourself out there. And there's going to be people that are waiting to hear the way you say things, because we all say things a little differently. There's not, I've seen people be very limited. Oh, there's other people that do the same things I do, but not in the way that you're going to do them. Everyone speaks a little differently, and we can hear something 20 times, but unless we hear it phrased a little differently, we're not going to really hear it and integrate it into our lives. So giving themselves that permission and not letting the past dictate their future.
I love that you shared that, because in the age of distraction and comparison, it seems so easy to, wherever you turn, to kind of just go lead with that not good enoughness, right? There's always somebody doing something different. But when you lead with authenticity, when you are secure and good with kind of where you are in your journey, that shows, and you don't have to worry about this. Big things is standing out for me lately, where it's attract, not chase. And when we do this in our work, right, this is the most transformative work. All the other results that we want are a byproduct, the standing out, the shine, getting the light that we deserve, right? We already have light within us. Kind of just saying things within our own authentic experience, and not worrying about how do I sound? Am I using the lingo of my industry, or am I, marketing, right? Because I do marketing. It's always a struggle between marrying the old and the new. Like always a struggle between, should I talk about the pain points and to what people need and what people want? So it's always like the battle, unfortunately, that we go through. But I think the more people are educated and raising our consciousness, the more we start to resonate with different things. And we all in such unique different parts of our journey. And I've realized timing is very important, because you could be right, matching your timing with somebody, which could be a potential client that you might be able to support, or somebody else that might be able to collaborate with, right? And you just never know that, because obviously we can't know everything. So just having faith and trusting in our abilities and the why we're doing something, which is why I talk about purpose all day, because once your purpose is clear, you're open and people can pick that up, and your energy is out there. And then you do it, all types of forms of marketing, especially when it comes to growing a business, because I know most people are always interested in the profit side, right? I'm like, I already know my purpose. So it's like, how do I now scale a company that is profitable, but also purposeful, right? Because at the end of the day, joy matters. Doing something for the right reason matters. Working on, focusing on work we love really matters as well. Jenny, I'm curious around some of the pain points that you've had to overcome and gone through in your journey. Whatever obviously you are, want to share with us. What are some of those pain points that you've kind of overcome that you can share with other people? Because just like anything, I learn from storytelling, right? I want to know, like, if there's something that in your journey maybe mirrors mine, and maybe I can grab a lesson or an insight, and that's how we're able to serve through the things that at one point were obviously very, very challenging for us. But once we've healed and processed that, and then now it becomes, the reason why we share this with other people. What can you share around that? What can you give us that you feel will be helpful to somebody else listening, based on the work you do, of course?
Well, as you know, on this journey, you keep finding those pain points and keep getting those opportunities to transmute them. So, the first was my physical illness and learning how to really communicate. I work a lot with the chakra system and the energy body. Learning to listen to my body was huge instead of just pushing. I love what you said about, attracting instead of chasing. It's really important to just be comfortable and grounded in your body. Imposter syndrome was something too. Even though I had so much experience, it's very hard not to compare yourself to other people and, oh, that person's successful, or, do I really know enough to step up? And if you've lived on this planet, you've learned lessons and you can share with people, really not holding yourself back, because again, everyone needs to hear something a little differently. So the more you just give yourself that permission and trust, what, the people that don't resonate with you, they're not meant to connect with you. It's okay, but if you touch that one person, if you connect with those few people, you've made a difference. So allowing yourself that process. Another huge thing I overcame was losing my mom, who was my best friend, and grief is a really tough one. And that taught me self-love on a whole new level, because she was my biggest cheerleader. So to show up for myself, what do you find the gifts in? Because in her passing, I had tried to start a meditation practice for like 15 years before she passed. But when she passed, I was able to, because she was my morning contact. She made me laugh. She made me present. So it's been almost 4 years of a daily meditation practice, recognizing, okay, this is something really hard and I miss her still every day, but what gift can I learn from this? How do I grow through this experience instead of letting it take me down the rabbit hole? Because as humans, we are very susceptible to being taken down that rabbit hole and letting everything stop us. So really and another big thing I find with my clients is they'll get stuck on one relative or one friend or one person that they want to please, recognizing that it's okay. You can give yourself freedom by recognizing that, you can't please everyone. And the more you step up, the more people you're going to ruffle their feathers, and it's okay. It means that you're triggering something in them. And maybe down the line, that's something that does awaken them. But not pulling anyone along to be like, oh, you've got to see me, you've got to see what I'm doing, or you've got to resonate with me. That doesn't work. It really is about just you being authentic, 100% authentically you, and then finding the people that are attracted to you because of that.
Well, Jenny, thank you so much. I resonated with one of your obviously impactful moments that happened to you with listening to your body, because I think that's something that I've always kind of worked on, and it was one of my weakest links, because I just don't know. It was always under theory, okay, well, connect to my body. What do you mean? Touch my, I'm here. I don't know how else to connect to it. So I think the work you're doing with people, because now I'm realizing our body's so intelligent, right? We always underestimated it, and that's why a lot of our physical symptoms and the way we get treated medically just stem from a lot of our unhealed trauma and the events that have gone through our lives. And I read something the other day about trauma, and I love the definition, because I've always been a person that wanted to simplify everything, because I'm also not the most theoretical person. To me, it's pragmatism, kind of understanding how to apply this into everyday stuff, and said that trauma is just a disconnection, something that happened to you that was dot that was disconnected, pretty much, right? And it's obviously always relates to relationships and other people that you loved. So I love that through the work that, people come to you for that, just like all our work, and then you get to create really massive transformations for them with the work that you're doing, and all very important pieces for sure. What is the symbol of the lion behind you?
So that's a project that I'm on, Self-Worth Now, which self-worth is kind of key too. Like if you don't love yourself and feel worthy, you're not going to attract the relationship, the career, all the things in your life that really can elevate you to your highest potential. So it is, you know, graphic created for Self-Worth Now, which is a 26-day program on really embracing that self-worth within.
Hmm. I'm glad I asked. I resonate with that as well. So you'll let us know more details around that for sure, and the way that we can support you with that, and whoever's going to watch the event as well. Well, thank you so much, Jenny. I enjoyed
Thank
our
you.
conversation and getting to know you better, and the light that you shine onto others. Having, spoken about the comparison trap, when you try to please, right? When we try to be somebody else, we kind of let that light dim a little bit every day, right? And we can't do this work unless we're feeding ourselves. So I love that the mission and what you talked about is self-love. We have to always, live in our light so that that could really connect with the right people that are ready for the support that we're able to give. Because any other way, I tried it. I tried all hustle. I tried all the do-do-do's. And I'm like, I'm tired. So there's a better way to do it. And it's amazing how all you got to do is work on you. I'm like, if somebody would have told me the secret years ago, I probably wouldn't have connected with it because obviously I couldn't see it, right? So we got to see it so that we can do the work, and that comes through our experience anyway. So thank you so much for the amazing work you're doing, and I'll definitely come back to you at the end for more info on that project and the ways that we could further connect with you and continue the conversation.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I'd love to go to Steve next. Vision behind Steve right there, Steve Gamlin. Steve, thanks so much. Same question for you. Where are you based, and what is the work that you're doing out there in the world, and why, if you'd like to tell us the reason, the purpose behind it? Oh, you're muted, Steve.
So sorry about that. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate being here. My wife Tina and I live in a little town in southern New Hampshire, out in the woods on a dead-end street off another dead-end street with really good Wi-Fi. So we love living where it's quiet. As a keynote speaker, as an author, as a visualization coach and creator of Vision Board Mastery, what I do basically is I help frustrated entrepreneurs to steer clear of the hustle and grind mindset to get back into the purpose, the meaning, and knowing their why as well. And my biggest why goes back to when I was 24 years old, drifting aimlessly a couple of years after college. And a dear friend of mine asked me why I'd never followed my dream of being on the radio, which I'd had since I was 11 years old. And out of excuses, I went to broadcast school in the summer of 92, got an internship, and drove to that friend's house. And he was so happy and so proud. And he passed away 3 weeks later. And it took me my entire 10-year radio career to get the lesson. When someone believes in you, when you don't believe in yourself, listen to them. Because he helped reconnect me to my why for being on the radio. And when I became a speaker, it was because of that friend. Because I know there will be somebody in an audience somewhere, whether there's one person or 1,001 people, that's going to believe in themselves a little bit more because of something I shared that day and connected. And we resonated with each other. As was said earlier, you can hear the same thing from 20 different people, but when that 21st person says it in such a way and bounces it off the wall, that it connects and it means something and it helps. And you wake up the next day and you do something with it. That's what I'm all about.
Well, I love it. Our missions unite because you help people connect their dots, right, in their journey. And I always talk about that as well, that if something connects with you, in your case, radio, right? In my case, podcasting, right? Whatever is the channel, whatever is the thing, or maybe singing. I'm exploring that now because speaking always came, more naturally in my journey. But whatever it is, it doesn't matter because that's part of our purpose, right? And we do have those things that we follow, especially when we follow our gut and intuition. That's usually, to me, it's coming back like so often. I'm like, what would be the advice that I would have told my 15-year-old self? Was always like, trust yourself and your intuition because you always knew what was right for you. Sometimes we just take all these, we get lost a little, and that's still experience, right? Because obviously we've learned other lessons, but why not, have people and connect with people that can hold the reins, I call them, right? So that you can tap into some of those things that are connected to your purpose, because you save so much time and energy in the wrong direction, because it's really all about channeling our purpose and the right energy into the things that light us up, back to kind of what we were talking about with Jenny. So I love how it always flows, these conversations, right? Because we're always connected anyway in synchronicity. So Steve, around hustle and grind and those, that old programming that we all have kind of been part of. I think it's just something that's part of a human experience at this point. What are some of the pain points that you've seen with your clients? How does this show up in their everyday life? What is the biggest pain that they're experiencing when it comes to not following that, or not even knowing how to actually trust ourselves, or themselves in this case, so that they can start to connect their own dots in their journeys?
One of the biggest things actually happened during the pandemic just a couple of years ago. What I started to hear from people is they said, well, I'm working from home. I'm doing this. This is how it impacted my life. And all of a sudden they had a lot more time on their own. They're kind of out of the hustle and grind, day-to-day activities. And one of the phrases I heard a lot is, oh my gosh, is this all there is? And I'm 56 years old. We were sold a bill of goods when we were in our late teens. Get a good education and a good job with a good company, with good benefits, put your head down for about 45 years and retire and enjoy your golden years with your pension. And so many people still fell for that. And they just grind every day, and they grind and they grind, and they work on just that work-life balance thing, as though work is one thing and life is just one other thing. And so many people ask, is this all there is? Oh my God, I don't even know why I do this anymore. My purpose, my meaning, my everything. I don't even know who I am anymore. And I started to hear that so often. And I thought, gosh, at that point, I'd already been doing this for 16 or 17 years. And I said, finally, as challenging as it was, the wake up and shake up call happened for a lot of people during those couple of years of the pandemic. And that's the one part of it that I'm actually thankful for, that it woke a lot of people up to understand that their heart, their soul, their passion, their minds, their everything need to be more engaged in their lives for it to someday mean something when they finally get their head off that desk or out of that grind. I want everybody to feel rewarded at the end of it, not empty, used up, and wondering what happened to the last few decades of my life.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, unfortunately, right, as humans as we are, we always wait or procrastinate, or unless something involuntarily outside circumstances happen. That was so true in my life as well. Because I mean, I heard the signs, I just ignored them, because it's like there's no one more thing. There's one more thing. There's always one more thing. One more thing to do, and to do the do. But it's amazing how when you just sit in the being, you're actually more powerful and more of a, if you want to achieve, because most of my audience mirrors me, like the overachievers, the big visionaries. We always got big stuff to do in the world, and there's always something that we are pursuing, but let's pursue it for the right reason. And I love that you help people kind of clarify that vision for themselves, right? And then do the alignment, because it shouldn't be different. Life and business and the work we do, it's all one. It's all about just managing and being in the flow. And when we're able to see that and to kind of feel that into our day-to-day operational activities, let's call it that, because I have a bunch of CEOs that still speak the business world, so I always like to marry both terms. But like the day-to-day things that we do, the inspired action that we take, it's amazing how when you're able to align that and understand that it's just really one big vision. And it's just different, focuses in the season based on kind of where you are, because things will start to connect when you're very intentional. So I love that you have, how you help people with kind of just sitting back and kind of clarifying that vision for themselves. And I know you have the world vision behind you, and I have tons of visionary CEOs and leaders here, because that's maybe their most natural form of intuition. I know it was always mine. I always saw it. I just didn't know how. I thought everybody saw it. So we all have our intuitive senses more developed than others, because that's connected to our purpose and our journey. Of course, we can develop all. I mean, I'm always addicted to kind of always like learning more about all these things. But vision, what does that mean to you, and how do you, maybe can you share a story, maybe in your own life or with a client that you've helped transform their lives? Like, how did their vision clarify, like going from blurry to kind of, okay, now I know what my life's purpose is, or the thing that I really want to do, and then they work backwards to connect the dots towards that vision?
Yeah, the biggest thing in the first conversation I have with a lot of people is I'll ask, what do your goals look like? And then often I'll hear, because I do a lot of work with vision boards as well as visualization. Oh, yeah, I made a vision board. It's got a Lamborghini, a yacht, a mansion, a private jet, a helicopter, a big honking gold watch, and a bank vault full of gold bars and piles of cash. And I always react the same. I said, great. There's not a single thing wrong with any of those goals, but that's a glorified letter to Santa Claus. I work in 8 major areas of life, and some people get overwhelmed when I say it's your physical health, your emotional well-being, your closest relationships, your core values that guide every thought, word, and action you commit, your faith and spirituality, if that's a big part of your life, your connection to the world in real ways, which took a beating during the pandemic, and then your work and your money. And almost immediately, everybody gets overwhelmed and goes, I can't possibly be thinking of 8 areas of my life to set goals for. Here's the thing. All 8 of those areas are working simultaneously 24/7, and they're all interconnected. And I had somebody challenge me on that recently, and I said, okay, let's think about it this way. If you decide to take care of your physical health a little bit better, maybe you work out and exercise, you make better food choices, maybe you reduce some of the bad habits that you might be having, you get a good amount of sleep. You wake up each day and you're more alert, energized, and focused. When you go to work that way, you can work more efficiently. When you work more efficiently, if depending on the job you have, you can earn more money. When you earn more money, you can buy back a little time and freedom to spend in those closest relationships. And if you do this all with really solid core values and integrity and in alignment with the rules of your faith, you enjoy more emotional well-being. You're happier and your connection with people is better. So simply by taking care of your physical health, you've just impacted all 8 of those areas of your life in a positive way. And one of the goals that one of my clients had, this was a couple of years ago now, she came to me and she goes, okay, Steve, I've got all 8 areas of my life covered, but I got this one really special goal I want to achieve. She wants to go on a safari in Africa because she wants to meet face to face, well, if she has a ladder, a giraffe. And she loves giraffes and they're a passion of hers. So we set about creating what would that look like? That would be a safari in Africa. Okay, how much would it cost? She had no idea. So I suggested just start taking these little actions and start researching things. Don't just slap a picture on a board and hope for the best, like you're manifesting it or attracting it. Putting it on the board is basically just saying what you want, figuring out how to get there, aligning yourself with the right people, educating yourself, and creating a story in your mind that appeals to all of your senses, which is why I ask people, what do your goals look like, feel like, sound like, smell like, taste like? Start to create the narrative, the story. And it's not just what you get, it's the person you become along the way. And over the course of 2 years of one-on-one coaching with her, we created a tracking system. She found out she was going to need $10,000 for this safari. So she said it would take 2 years. We found a picture of a giraffe from a coloring book that had 10 spots. So I wrote 500, 500, 500, 500, 500 and sent it to her. Every time she banked $500, she colored that in publicly on a Facebook Live with all of her clients and team members watching. And over the course of even the first couple of months, the momentum, the confidence, the desire, the passion, the cheering on, the support she got set her up for success. And she's going next year on this African safari. And she said, Steve, I never could have done this a couple of years ago. We were able to work together to help her to not just get it, but become a more confident, educated person along the way. And that's the work that I do with people. And that's what I love to hear about people as well, who not only got what they wanted, but became a better version of themselves.
Well, goosebumps, because Steve, you're not just doing just that, manifesting the specific goal that she had, but also teaching her how to trust in the process of creation that she can do for herself, or so many other things that maybe materially or spiritually she would like to attract. That's kind of what I found out. I love that you mentioned the 8 areas, because at one point in my journey, I felt like these are all separate. I'm like, okay, I got 1 year and I got to work on my business and my health. Then another quarter, doing this traditionally. And another quarter, I'm going to focus on my relationship with my husband or my parenting, right? Always, it felt like so separate. But what happens when you wake up and you do some of this inner work, you realize it's really only one vision, right? It's really only one thing. And you feel connected to all these areas. And they're no longer overwhelming. Because I think that's the other part that's really hurting people. It's overwhelming. To kind of just focus on all these different things. And then, of course, what do? We set big goals, and then the January resolution, January is coming up. Just thinking about that because I've lost like concept of time. But I think what's happening with people now, they're realizing, or we're all realizing how we want time freedom, right? Because the longest we wanted money freedom, like financial freedom, and that's obviously the byproduct. I mean, I don't think that's going away because we still live in this world with these old structures where we need money to go buy milk. I always like think small sometimes about that because it's real for us, right? We need money. We're exchanging money for a product or a service. However, I love that we're all seeing the big picture now where it's like my time is important. What do I want to spend my time on this physical earth? Doing what? Living on my life's purpose, minimizing my regrets, spending with the people I love, doing work I love, waking up every day with joy. I think that's become our new definition, which I'm like, yay, we're heading in the right direction with that. So thank you so much, Steve, for all the amazing work that you're doing out there in the world and for sharing that with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
All right, my pleasure. I'd love to go to Themo next. Themo, same question for you. Where are you based and who do you help and why?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Themo. I know it's a little bit of an unusual name. It's name is Greek, but I live in Miami. And what I work on is very practical stuff about how to grow businesses. And I've spent a little over 30 years in the world of business and corporate America and the basic climbing the corporate ladder and got all the titles and all of that stuff. And then got to the point where I realized it wasn't really where I wanted to be, and it wasn't really in alignment with what I could really do to help people. So a few years ago, I shifted to just being an individual coach, and I work directly with CEOs and business owners, and very specifically last few years on health and wellness. And few months ago, I actually published my first book, and I titled the book From Passion to Profit. And the reason for that is because as I work with people, especially in health and wellness, I notice a lot of people start these businesses out of passion, but they don't necessarily know how to make them work. So what I really focus on is the really pragmatic things you need to do in health and wellness, running a practice, whether it's you're running some wellness spa, acupuncture, chiropractic, whatever it is. There's so many areas, running retreat centers. What do you do to actually make a living, and how do you grow these businesses? So that's really what I've been doing the last few years.
Well, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And our missions aligned as well, bringing in the practical side, but also I love your niche of health and wellness and the way that you're doing that with your specific processes and methodologies to help business owners align this really important area. Because I always say, I mean, our health is our wealth. And unless we have that, then obviously running a business is going to be very, very challenging. And the know-how it's missing, right? I mean, we don't know what we don't know. So the education practice and also the implementation piece is still important because sometimes, when we talk about some of these concepts, it's like, well, I mean, do I let go of my more like the stuff that I do? No, we just implement it and find the people that can support us. I think it's going to be another important piece for all of us as entrepreneurs, especially as we craft that vision, back to what we're talking about with Steve, because once your vision is clear and you know where you fit in the puzzle, where you like to stay, and it's so clear as to who to bring in complementarily, whether it's a tool or a human or other people to be able to support you in collaboration. Back to your own unique methodology, I'm curious, with your own authentic experience, give me like an idea around maybe certain pillars you work with your clients that kind of rinse and repeat with tons of the people that you've worked with that you could share with us. So, or even things that you've written about in the book. I'm curious.
Absolutely. I'll tell you where my method came from and also what it is. There's no secret about it. I'm very public about it. It's just a matter of doing certain things consistently and doing them well. So through my career, I had a chance of working in private equity, which is a very cutthroat environment of buying and selling companies. And I was in that environment for 10 years. And then I noticed over the years that, hey, we're implementing the same playbook. That we would go in, buy these companies, do these 5 or 7 things, and all of a sudden we'd see the company grow. And the reality is that these things aren't rocket science. It's just a matter of knowing what to do. And I'll give you a little example of how the process works. So let's say, for instance, you have whatever the business is. Let's say you have 1,000 customers and they spend $100 a year on your business. So your total revenue is $100,000. Now, if you were to increase, let's say you had some strategy and you said, you do this thing to increase 10% on the $100, do this other thing to increase 10% on the 1,000 customers. So all of a sudden your 1,000 customers become 1,100 and your $100 becomes $110. Your total revenue just increased to $121,000 a year, which is a 21% increase. So even though the individual things were changed by 10%, the total was improved by 21% through compounding. So this is not necessarily any rocket science. Everybody understands compounding. But when you look at a business, there's literally 7 or 8 levers that a business can increase incrementally. That's what creates the growth. And that's what these big businesses are doing. They're not doing any kind of really revolutionary thing. So if you think about it, is how do you get more people in the world to know about what your services are? How do you convert most of them to customers? How much do you get them to pay per transaction? How do you increase the number of times they shop with you throughout the year? How do you reduce turnover? And how do you manage costs? So all of those variables, there's 7 of them. If you increase each one of them by 10%, you double the business. So, and that's usually the framework when I work with people is, let's see how you're doing. And usually people will be good at one thing or another. I rarely find people especially in small companies, that are paying attention to all 7 of those variables. Even in companies doing $40–50 million in revenue, they often are not working on these things. So it's just a matter of really knowing what those levers are and then going and improving them.
I love it. Knowledge is potential power, right? And the way that you laid it out so simply, when you do the work that we all do in all our areas, or whatever areas we've chosen to kind of dedicate or devote lots of years of experience, things to become so simple. And honestly, the simplest concepts are the ones that move us further faster, whether it's in business or our personal lives. I love that you articulated that for people, and also probably mentioned in your book as well, which you're going to let us know about a little bit after as well. But yeah, I mean, it's so simple and it's so easy to miss also, because, our brain, right? If it's so simple, it can wait, right? And most people, I realize also, they're not really clear as to what to focus at the different phases and stages of their business growth and cycles, right? Because not every phase and stage you can solve the same problems. So I love that you kind of gave people the big picture view with those pillars, which are really, really important as well. And the health and wellness, how do you implement that with their business knowledge? I'm curious.
Specifically in health and wellness?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the reasons, there's a couple of different reasons I focused in on this industry. One is just my personal interest and my experience dealing with this industry on personal issues over the years. But really, the reality is, let's take physical therapy. Physical therapists go to school for 3 or 4 years. They maybe do 1 semester on business skills. Massage therapy in most states is a 9 to 10 month program. They don't teach them anything. Chiropractors, they might have a course. So all of these even traditional medical doctors hardly have any skills graduating to go and start a practice. So what I find a lot is that there is first lack of knowledge because they've never been trained. And then I come across a lot of this mentality of, I've heard this many times from people in this field that, sales and marketing, that's the yucky stuff. I don't want to deal with that. Well, the better you get at it, the more people you can help. So for me, it's all about identifying. The way I work with people is literally, okay, let's see how you're doing against these 7 levers, because some of them are doing great and many of them. Yeah, okay, so then let's worry about the things that you're not doing well at. So maybe you have a good chance of, maybe you know how to attract customers, but you don't know how to keep them. or you don't know how to price your products and services properly, or you don't know how to run loyalty programs and things like that. So it really depends on assessing first where they're at and then identifying what they can do to improve. But like I said, I think the number one issue in this industry is know-how. These people are never trained how to run a business. And guess what? Most of people in health and wellness are business owners. There's over US and Canada, there's over 1.5 million business owners in health and wellness.
Yeah, I mean, that's a beautiful niche because of the whole definition of that whole industry is about serving others and helping
Yeah.
people heal and helping them with their health and wellness. So obviously, just like anything, we got to start first. But it's so true that a lot of these practitioners are missing the business acumen skills. And at the end of the day, all these, traditional business terms are all about organizing and structuring things because we need to do that, right? I mean, we need to be able, who called business business? One day I'm going to find out the origins. I challenge you all because that was my thought. I'm like, who called business business? It could be called something else. So let's challenge these things. They're not that hard. At the end of the day, if you just have your heart in the right place and a clear purpose, there's no such thing as marketing and sales. It's just about, can I share what I know? And see how that will create impact. So, but we just needed these traditional ways to structure things because, that's kind of how we've been able to operate in this world that we live in, the material world. So I think the same for business. So I
And
love
Elona,
that you're doing that.
the other benefit that's kind of hidden in doing this work is that I've come to be not a big fan of big corporations. For various reasons. And I still think health and wellness is one area where you still have the individual entrepreneur, you have small communities of people, you serve small neighborhoods, small family-oriented businesses, they're community-oriented. And I truly believe that is something we need to do more of in the US.
Yeah, I agree. Let's flip it on the other end for sure, because everything starts with the individual and the fact that we have all these new channels. At one point you help yourself enough, you help your family, you move through the circles, you help your community, then you can now move beyond and help, the world globally with kind of what's available. So why stay small and why limit your purpose? And I think everybody has big visions at the end of the day, which I was so glad to find out from all the clients I've helped, because I'm like, for the longest, I'm like, well, maybe now you're not meant to have a big business or a business that creates impact and it shouldn't be under corporate structures. That worked for that world, right? Because with that, came a lot of toxicity and things that, we all probably have experienced, which was my story. That's why I left. It was toxicity, profit driven. I was like just a little number somewhere, who knows where. And yeah, I wanted more. So I think, yeah, we got to flip the script pretty much just like with everything else. Lead with purpose, and then definitely align profit. What is the meaning of the guitars behind you?
The meaning of them, well, it's like one of those things you play and it makes music.
Right? And what's the connection with you?
It's really my biggest passion in life. I've basically was born with a guitar in my hands. And in another life, I would be in a band. I've had a band myself over the years. I just love to play. When I play the guitar, I go to a different place. And these three are all custom made. They'll never leave my side. So yeah, they all have a story.
But see, that's what makes us so unique. We all have things that we connect with. Speaking, back to kind of material world competition of there's other people doing the same work we do, but nobody has our background and our life journey and our interests, so we can use all of this as channels towards our purpose. Thank you so much for sharing. Beautiful conversation, and thank you for the work that you're doing out there to help health and wellness businesses scale, but also do more good in the world through the channel of entrepreneurship.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I'd like to say hi to Cheryl Martin next. Hi, Cheryl. Thanks so much for joining us. Can you share where is it that you are based, and also what is the work that you're doing out there in the world?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me as well. My specialty niche is within the autism community, and for 20 plus years, I was physically based, present, one-on-one, working with the children, working with the staff, having centers, working within the home environment. And as so many of us, and Steve, you've already mentioned as well, the world changed with COVID, and how do we be adaptable because the situations and being a physical location based. And so I have been in the process of rebranding the business and moving it from the physical location to online environment. And so I currently, what I'm building and rebranding is that I provide online coaching courses and resources for professionals within the autism community. Those professionals would include the CEOs of ABA companies, as well as it's called BCBAs, standing for the Board Certified Behavior Analysts, that lead all of the technicians and provide all the programming for the children. And so my focus is shifting from actually working one-on-one with the children and the clients to training the owners. How do you run a successful business? These 7 pillars that you're talking about, they apply to ABA businesses as well, but there are so many unique situations and paradigms that happen within this field that do not occur within other fields. I have 20 years of the successes and failures within each one of those 7 areas, and helping CEOs of these ABA companies grow and expand so that ultimately we can have both of what I keep hearing here. It's the passion and the profit, trying to combine them together. I have always had a passion of more of a global reach and moving to this online virtual communities. I am now going to actually be able to do that versus being only local to a specific community that I had been for 20 years.
Wow, well, you're a beautiful story back to what we're talking about with our business, right? How we are now able to go global, and we no longer need to stay small, right? I mean, still have a focus of, I always say that the circle of influence, we still got to be intentional with that. However, let's expand and let's unite, because there's so many more people that we can help. And with the virtual channels, we're able to do so. Well, what a beautiful mission. I have to connect you to my client, and she's working on the mission of helping caretakers and their family members of special needs. So there's such a beautiful complementation in the missions and the way that we can unite those to be able to, improve the quality of the lives of that population as well, right? So I love the work that you're doing. If your perfect person was sitting in the audience right now, what could you share with them that would be value packed, or you can add value to them if they're maybe, struggling with some of those connecting of the dots of making this a really impactful mission and ensuring that they're aligning purpose and profit together? Because usually that's kind of what I've seen as a big pain point. And it seems like your niche is so beautiful and, so clear that if somebody's sitting in the audience, I'm sure they can connect their own dots, sort of where they are and where they can be as far as their vision expanding. What can you share with us?
Basically, one of the most important things I did before in my business, and I'll continue doing that, is that I provide individualized services. So let's look at, just like here's the 7 areas that were mentioned. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And then let's individualize a program for you, whether it be through one-on-one coaching, whether it be through group coaching, providing a community for you that's individualized special access only for CEOs of ABA companies, or a group that would be for both. So basically individualizing, I will be adding regular courses. I have all the materials, I have the training, because I've done it all of these years. I need to move it into the virtual world, and that's what I'll be dripping into the virtual world. And I'll be starting my first fall group coaching in October and those courses. So I'm ready to, and I'm actually have some some individual one-on-one coaching right now, but I will be launching my first group coaching in October.
Beautiful way to structure the service for sure, with all the ways that you've been able to what you are creating and also co-creating for sure. Back to those 7 pillars. Can you give me a little bit of insight around each of those 7 pillars? So that we can kind of inhale some of your beautiful experience if somebody just wants to gain a little more insight.
Yes. Well, I think just as every one of us know that we have to start with our mindset, and really our mindset was extra challenged during the COVID years. And do we just pack up and go home because these challenges can be overwhelming, or how do we build that resiliency for when you keep getting knocked backwards? I see those within this field, like, we are all warriors. We are fighting for these children, and we go forward and we get pushed backwards, but yet we keep moving forward. So working within that mindset, let's get that foundation set first, and then going in there, the specialties of the insurance billing, the credentialing, how, yes, we want to take care of the autism community, but how does that align with profit? You are in a business. What I see a lot that happens is that people go into this business and their hearts are so pure, and we want to give and we want to help, and they're working 60, 80 hours a week and not even taking a paycheck, and a year goes by. So how do you align that where you could bring both of them together and you be able to work more in your business, work more on your business instead of being the main busy bee within your business, and making that mindset shift that's then going to impact the financial area and all of the other areas as well.
Absolutely. And that is always the pain point of purpose-driven people led by service, that a lot of us have blocks around receiving money, deserving the money we receive, and using that, which I've learned in my journey, is just a tool. Let's detach emotionally if we can. It's just a tool, because that in good hands, we can put that towards really amazing things that can create more impact. But that's obviously, that inner work is in the individual for everyone. So I hear when you say that, it's all meeting people where they are, and their personalization is really important as well. How about you, Kristen? How did you?
The other areas with the specific professionals, just like people go into physical therapy and OT, but yet they have no business training. Those who become certified to become board certified behavior analysts, it's the only certification that insurance pays for. Insurance, the behavioral services, you have to be under a BCBA, but BCBAs are not trained how to design programs, how to implement the programs beyond your basic 2-year-old, 3-year-old skills. So that type of coaching as well, providing it from both ends, from the CEO's end, but from also those that are a little bit more in the hands-on trenches still, but don't have that training on how to advance a child's skills.
That's the only way to scale. Train the trainer, scale the mission. Yes. For that purpose. I love it. I love it. Cheryl, how did you get into this work? Anything in your personal life that created such impact for you that got you here helping, supporting so many others?
Yes, absolutely. So I initially started with a master's in social work, specializing in families and adolescents. And then I myself started a family, chose to stay home sitting on a master's for 12 years. But then it was time, not realizing it would be 4 children later, and time for mama to go back in the workforce. My youngest was going into kindergarten. And I just could not understand, how am I going to go to work with all the days off of school that these guys have, summer times off? How does this work? Especially that many years ago, the opportunities, it was a lot more difficult. And so I decided, if I were to get school social work certified, then I would be able to be on the same exact schedule as my children, and I could manage still being in the workforce and still manage my family that my values were number one for. So I became that school social work certification. My first job was in a preschool program. And now, mind you, this was back in year 2000. The principles of ABA, which is applied behavior analysis, was significantly new back then, and it especially was not within school settings. However, this was a very progressive school setting, and they actually had an ABA program within the special needs school setting. I had never heard of it before. So for that year, I was part of the initial training, and I watched how children with autism grew and developed through that year in a way that I never thought possible. 20 years ago, parents didn't have any hope of, okay, my child has autism. I don't know what there is to do. There's no services out there for them. And when I saw that, wow, I can utilize these principles and I can help make a significant impact and give the parents hope. Hence, that's been my theme all through the years, hope. If I could utilize these services, give the parents hope, and make an impacting change, not only on the child, but the family, that's what I'm doing. And then I went ahead and I became BCBA certified, and there has been no stopping me, not even COVID and all the changes that happened because of it, because my passion is there for the children, there for the families, and really society at large, because I'm not sure if everybody knows, but autism is the #1 pandemic in the world right now, or actually in the United States. I'll be very careful to say that about the world, but for sure within the United States, 1 in every 250 children born today have autism. When I started 20 years ago, 1 in every 20,000 children had autism. Significant change. And so I'm here to provide hope, and that's been my passion for 25 years and hasn't changed, and I don't see it changing. And I'm just now able to reach people in a different modality.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how it all aligns, right? And you can't move away from your purpose. And I love that you said hope. That's obviously a brand word, right? Talking about authentic branding. It's just, our life experience and the things that resonate with us that keep showing up and, in different situations and keep repeating. Pay attention, because that's the mission. That's why you're here, right? So I love that you've already connected that and you shared that with us. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for the beautiful work that you do and for sharing today.
And thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Well, it's been a beautiful event. It always is, selfishly and selflessly, because I think they're all both are connected. I feed off so many of these beautiful events and everybody's work and all the amazing entrepreneurs and speakers that came today. I always say that sometimes a lot of entrepreneurs, depending on our programming or the way that we identify with the work we do, don't think we are speakers, but I'm like, yes, you are, because there's only 2 ways to create impact. It's either you speak about it or you write about it. So, it's skills that we learn, and some of us do it more naturally than others, but who cares? Everything is always continuous improvement, and the journey of evolution always continues. So thank you so much for all the amazing work you're doing, and also for what you have shared with us thus far. I'd like to wrap up the event, usually always, with a final message. So I'll go back to Jenny. And Jenny, whatever message you feel to share with us, whether it was inspired by this event or maybe a message around the brand and the work that you're doing out there in the world, what can you leave us with? And also, where is it that the audience can further continue this conversation with you?
Yeah, first of all, it's been wonderful to connect with all of you, resonated with everything that all of you said, and you're all doing such important work. So that, fills my heart too. And yeah, just the importance of mindfulness. I mean, that is really key things that I teach are mindfulness and self-love. And my latest books are mindfulness exercises in the shower. And it's funny that you said like those little dots that you follow like through your lifetime. Like 18 years ago, when I like healed myself physically, I would start speaking and tell people the morning, the nighttime, and in the shower, the most powerful times to say affirmations, do your gratitude work. And now, yeah, I started a series of books, mindfulness exercises in the shower. You can find those on Amazon. And also I'm part of the Self-Worth Now program, which is 26 days of really embracing your self-worth. And they do it in all different ways. Like there's an affirmations, there's scents that you can smell, because everyone takes the information in differently. There's frequencies. I love listening in sound frequencies. Very big, resonated with them on that. Like music is so important too, to our integration and our happiness. So you can find me jennygarufi.com. You can find me on Amazon as well. And I have a free online class actually on my site to gain inner peace. So yeah, really grateful to connect with all of you.
Well, grateful for sharing, and don't worry, I'll include all the links for everyone right underneath this event. So all we got to do is just click those links and find each other. And all the speakers, please share your LinkedIn profiles here so that you can further connect with one another. Because one of the big purposes that I feel compelled to always, somehow I'm always doing it, is connecting the dots between purpose and profit, and also people together. That's what gives me joy. So let's definitely take the follow-up or the touch point, nurturing these relationships. I like calling it touch points nowadays. I don't like the follow-up wording anymore, but anyway, that's just my insights. Definitely connect with one another. So Jenny went, and I would love to go to Steve next. Steve, same question for you. Whatever inspired message is your heart is feeling to share, and also where is it that we can further connect with you?
When life feels really overwhelming, go back to think of life as an old wooden roller coaster. And if you're afraid of roller coasters, this one's virtual, so it's only fun. You're not going to get hurt. You think of where you are now, which not enough people do. They understand where they want to go, but they don't understand where they are now. Right now, you're at the parking lot level. Any one of your goals is the top of that first hill. Now, you can't start halfway up. You can't skip any steps. What you have to do every day and be consistent is go click, click, click. Every day, if you just take one step in the right direction, you put the right people on the ride with you, and you believe that you're worthy of being at the top of that. After a while, if you look over your shoulder, you realize how much you've grown and how much closer you are to that goal. So after you achieve each incremental step, I've got clients who hashtag click baby click. They send me that in a DM, and I think, oh, they're doing something today. They're doing something. So if you feel stuck, if you feel overwhelmed, just think of that one little step per day per goal. Just think of click baby click, that you're in an old wooden roller coaster. And the best place to reach me is actually, I've got a group called Build the Life You Love with Vision Boards. It's on Facebook. And if you go to visionboard.group, we would love to have you as part of the community there. Working on some brand new things that weren't quite ready yet for this call, but the group is the best place. So it's visionboard.group.
Beautiful, beautiful message. Thanks so much, Steve. All right, I'd love to go to Themo next.
Yeah, first, thank you to you, Elona, and the whole group here. Pleasure meeting everybody on here. And honestly, instead of words of wisdom, I just wanted to say thank you really to all the business owners out there, especially small business owners, especially people in health and wellness. I can tell you, and I'm sure you all see it, people are stressed out of their minds. Last few years have been very stressful for everybody. And whether it's sick children, work, economy, politics, whatever, there's so much going on. So I think the health and wellness community, with all of these different professions, has a very special place for really helping the whole country. And yeah, I think it's incredible work that all of you are doing here. Yeah, just really thank you to everybody who's going and doing that every day. It's a lot of work. It's not easy, and I really personally appreciate it. I mentioned my book earlier. I actually have a free 80-page summary of it, so you don't even have to buy the book. You can see pretty much most of my teachings for free on my website. And that's just my first name.com, themos.com. And yeah, thank you again.
Thank you. I love the your message resonated because I really think that we've been on a collective void, and now it's time to just ascend and awake for all of us. It's our reward for being through a lot of stuff last couple of years. I completely agree. We all have gone through something very purposeful, obviously with a higher purpose. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'd love to go to Cheryl next and then close out.
Yes. So for the closing, again, would also like to thank you as well for this opportunity. I love hearing other stories of others who are also very resilient going through all of these challenges, and for connecting with me. My prior business was FH&L Autism Services, and that's where you could find me on Facebook. I'm waiting for Facebook to rebrand and change the name, but I've been putting the BCBA for Hope is the name of my rebranded company. And again, having the word hope in it. So my prior business was Faith, Hope, and Love, and carrying that hope through here. And you can reach me through there. Through this event here, I do have a coupon available for actually 50% off as part of my launch for any service that you choose to purchase, whether it be the one-on-one service or the group service to start out. And I will have links. You send me a message through the Facebook, and then I know that you're submitting some links, as well. I'll provide you some. I'll definitely be in touch, provide you with how we could connect via phone call to answer any questions and answers about further services and moving forward.
All right. Well, I want to thank all my amazing speakers and purpose-driven entrepreneurs for another beautiful lineup here today. And again, I always walk away with new dots connected. So I hope that it was the same for you. We also have a community expert program here at the Life School, which connects you with audiences that align with the work that you're doing so that you can create more magic out there in the world. Thank you so much for attending the events. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sharing this. Please do share. Sharing is caring, especially with the work that we all do, because you just never know who could hear what and who needs to connect with Cheryl, who needs to connect with Themo, with Steve, or with Jenny. Thank you so much for attending again, and I'll see you with other events here at the Life School. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.